Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are taking a look at the Marvel Legends Morph from the Sugarman Build-A-Figure wave. Here we have Morph displayed in the front window with his Build-A-Figure piece, and then down near the bottom we see the X-Men logo and his name. On the side we get some artwork there of Morph with a huge grin on his face, and that is going to be the same artwork on both sides. On the back we get a pretty basic product shot of Morph, and then we do have a quick read-up. A natural mimic, Kevin Sidney transforms himself into any shape at will. Then we do have all the other figures needed in this wave to complete the Sugarman Build-A-Figure, but enough about that, let's get this open and take a look at Morph. And here is Morph outside of his packaging, and of course, what superhero team would be complete without its jokester, and that is certainly the role that Morph played in the Age of Apocalypse storyline, often changing into his teammates to poke fun or just to razz on them, and he did it with great effect. And I think it was a really fun character. They had a lot of good times, using his shape-shifting abilities for both the practical jokes as well as just deception and things like that, that of course you would expect a shapeshifter to use against his enemies. Now, Morph does not come with any accessories of his own, but he does come with a leg for the Sugarman Build-A-Figure. Now, when standing straight up, Morph is coming in at 6¼ inches tall, which makes him about 15.9 centimeters, so slightly taller than Jean Grey, but a little bit shorter than the X-Man figure. But since he doesn't come with any other accessories, let's go ahead and jump in here and get a look at the paint and sculpt on Morph. And starting first up close with the head sculpt, and I switched to the black background because you really couldn't make out the head sculpt against my white background because of how white it is. I mean, this is a very bright white head sculpt. Now, the face looks good, and I mean, it looks like one eye is either misaligned or meant to be squinty. I guess I'm not sure. I haven't seen a lot of these figures out in the wild anymore, and to be honest, I didn't see them much at all. But we get the black around the eye, and actually now as I'm looking at it, yeah, that's misaligned, because the black on the right-hand side, on this side here, looks like it's too high. So, but he gets that little smirk painted in, and then we get like the little cell-shaded portion there. And I think that's really cool, and it certainly stays true to the character. I just wish we would have gotten more of a zany head sculpt, like that big grin, that big toothy smile or something like that. This is a little bit calm for really anything. Like, it's not going to make for good fighting poses, and it doesn't make for just a kind of silly, wacky pose too that the character likes to portray. So yeah, that's a bit of a disappointment, but otherwise the head sculpt does look good. It's kind of almost featureless, if you will. Like, it has a pronounced brow, and you can see like the smirk, but the nose very much reminds me of like the chameleon. Just sort of like not really there, not well defined anyway. So now the cape is probably one of my biggest things that I do not like about this figure. So it does have the port to go into the back, and when you port it in the back, it sits so far off of his shoulders that it's quite noticeable, and it even kind of wiggling as I'm holding it there. But that is a big, I don't know, it's a big bummer. It just looks weird. It's floating off of his shoulders there. I mean, the cape itself looks great. I really like the sculpted detail of just the way the fabric is laying, so really well done there. And minor paint, but it's mostly accurate. I mean, not too bad. But yeah, that is disappointing. So that's the port right there. So you can take it out, but then it kind of falls back almost like it's choking him. Yeah, so you're going to want it ported in for the most part. And then not to mention the cape is about as long as he is tall. So you don't get a lot of poses where you can crouch down because the cape is going to get in the way. So with that being said, I don't want to talk about the cape no more, so let's get rid of it. Now, looking at the rest of the body, this is one thing I was really happy about, though, is we didn't get a basic Bucky cap for this. They could have just as easily made it a Bucky cap, and instead they did go with this updated body mold, which is, I guess it's the Bullseye body, the Spider-Man 2099 body. I'm pretty sure that's the body this is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But either way, it's not a Bucky cap, and I think that is great. Looking at the paint, I mean, it's just relatively basic shapes for the most part, and the edges are pretty clean. You don't really have any sort of fuzziness or anything like that around the edges, so the paint was applied quite nicely. and it's not overly complicated. It's just black stripes, so it looks good. You get the cuffs here, a little bit of a split design on the back, and then he does just have the fisted hands, which those look fine. And then you get the big cuffs on the boots as well. So overall, the sculpted detail looks good. Yes, it's another reused body, but it's not a Bucky cap, so that's what I'm really excited about. Now, looking at the articulation, that's the best part about this type of body sculpt here with the butterfly joints and such. So look down that far, look up that far with the head. Arms can come up about 90 degrees, and you do have that excellent excellent butterfly joints. Unfortunately, those are going to be hindered by the cape if he has it on, but that's still great that they're there. He does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. However, the cuffs do get in the way, so you can't quite go as far as you'd want to, but you do at least get a 90 out of it. You do have rotation and a hinge at the wrist. You're going to have a stiff but decent range there on the ab crunch, and then going backwards, but again, the cape is going to limit the backwards motion there. You do have waist rotation, legs that can come apart that far, legs kick forward pretty much straight out, not much at all back, upper thigh cut, double jointed knees. He does have a boot cut right there at the top of the cuff, and then he is going to have a hinge and ankle pivot. And that about wraps it up for this video, everyone. And overall, I don't really have any major complaints with this figure other than the way that cape lays on Morph. It's decent, and I'm not really sure what other accessories you would have included other than some alternate hands. But like I said, maybe a more slapstick head would have been pretty cool too. But I think the biggest thing to take away from this figure is that a relatively, let's say, unimportant, or certainly not a sought-after figure like Morph was able to get an upgraded body mold from a Bucky cap. And I think that is the most telling about this figure, is that I'm hoping that that means that we're starting to move away from the Bucky cap mold, and that we're going to start seeing something like this body being used more often. So that is the biggest thing that I took from this figure, and that is what I'm hopeful for. But anyway, as I said, that is it for this review. Make sure to hit that thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe for more content just like this. And as always, thanks for watching my videos, and have a great day.